The security forces in Belize are male-dominated. They are forces established in patriarchy. But that has been changing and is about to change in a greater deal. Today, the Women, Peace and Security Agenda was launched, and it's aimed at promoting equality, women empowerment, and women rights within the forces. Minister of National Security Marco Perifit says that gender equality and quality is a prerequisite for peace, security, justice, and sustainable development.
Through this initiative, we aim to promote gender equality, women's empowerment, and women's rights in our internal actions, as these are at the core of our values. Investing in women's empowerment is not only a question of fairness, as economic gains from empowering women are substantial. Gender equality is a prerequisite for peace, security, justice, and sustainable development, all of which positively influence our global, regional, and national economies. Belize will, therefore, actively promote gender mainstreaming as a key strategy, together with gender balance and specific actions to achieve gender equality and women's empowerment in all areas of national security by ensuring the integration of a gender perspective throughout all policy frameworks.
And that framework consists of 3 pillars.
Firstly, we have put emphasis on our efforts to increase women's participation and leadership within the security forces. It is important to ensure that women can equally and equitably participate in all facets of the security sector. We have prioritized action against sexual and gender-based violence in the security forces. We also stress the importance of training personnel on preventing and eliminating sexual exploitation, discrimination, and abuse within the ranks. Thirdly, we have prioritized our work to promote proactive policies for women's empowerment within the security forces, which will also create sizable returns for our economy and society.
From their stance and area of influence, they have shown that when a woman's voice is heard, when she participates in decision making, and when she exercises leadership, she most likely brings something unique, special, and of high value and quality to key decisions. The realization of gender equality and women's empowerment contribute to the achievement of the Sustainable Development Goals and the entire 2030 Agenda for Sustainable Development. The Women, Peace and Security Agenda for Belize's security forces has a very clear vision. The vision embodies the empowerment of women as equal partners in the development of a prosperous and stable Belize, especially in achieving our national security goals.
The goals are progressive. The first goal is to increase participation of women. The first pillar has 3 objectives.
Elimination of bias is important for everyone to be able to get a opportunity and to be able to go to training, and for the active participation of women on all patrols. This was very different in the past, where women would only go to certain patrols, or because of infrastructure development, or just because they were not used to going. But making sure that the active participation of women on all patrols is a key part of this, in line with the 1325 agenda for the UNSCR, where women should be in combat roles. So that is why this is a part of the increase in participation. When it comes to our laws and our policies, we need to ensure that we're eliminating significant obstacles, i.e. improper traditions and practices, and that apparent or obscure bias and that unconscious bias that we tend to have. Protective policies, we have begun our harassment policies and assault policies, proper fraternization policies, and any policy that does not exist. The agenda makes that provision for policies to be written and for policies to be revised. A lot of our policies currently have very wording. It talks a lot about men, he's, and making sure that the policies are written with a gender neutral background. And infrastructural development to ensure that all bases are equipped to house both genders. So there should be no excuse that women cannot go to some of the OBs.
Currently, the average percentage of women in the security forces compared to the women population in the country averages 7 to 20%. The second pillar focuses on justice and equity, including zero tolerance, diversity and inclusion, and gender mainstreaming.
One of the core focus pertaining to gender mainstreaming, we have determined that with all the policies that have been in place, the Gender-Based Violence, Domestic Violence Act, among other acts, we realize that if it is that policies are not developed to ensure that equity is seen and also done, this policy gives us that direction to ensure that we ensure that the security forces actually implement them.
But for all of these policies and frameworks and initiatives to actually be effective and for change to occur, there must be acceptance of what is in place now. The third pillar focuses on perspective change.
What we have had was a patriarchal security enterprise that valued certain constructs of masculinity, that had a linkage of the definition of manliness to violence and oppression, the domination and hierarchies of values that elevate some masculinities over others and over all notions of femininities. This perspective leads towards a normalizing and legitimizing of harassment, violence, and assault, which is not the direction we want our security forces to go.
Reporting for News 5, Hipolito Novelo.